I'm sure he would go there about it. I remember how nervous Nancy was getting. It was a kite school.
She won't watch the school. She won't watch the school.
All right, well, we can maybe start to get started. So you want to turn your mics on?
There is an extra one here. Should we give Seth one of his own? Sure. Get your very own.
Hey, Johnson.
You do. I'll tell you which one's the right one.
Oh, yes, there's more red on this one. Okay.
Yes, the one with more red.
The one with more reds.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one that goes to letter K.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on the regular agenda. Okay,
Yes.
so we'll just get started with the citizens forum, and I don't know if we have anybody here that's requested to speak.
I didn't get any paper to sign.
Okay.
I can just, if you're ready, I can go to the mic.
Sure.
Yeah, I think if everybody's okay with that, to have Dennis come up, that'll be fine. Maybe just push the button on the mic there, if you would.
That's the one.
Thank you.
Okay, my question was for Mr. Nelson. Now, I wasn't here at the last meeting, but were you quoted correctly in the paper after that that said you were not gonna have any open meetings because someplace they got ugly at one time?
That wasn't, I don't believe that was a direct quote. I think that was, my comment was having a process for people to sign up and having you at the mic and taking turns.
Okay,
And I think some people have it with an open meeting that it's just, if you have a comment, you just speak up.
no, I understand your form here, and
Yeah.
I agree with it. So, that wasn't what I was here last time and talked about.
Okay.
Having meetings where parents weren't allowed to attend.
Okay.
Is that, what's that policy?
What meetings were there that parents weren't allowed to attend? I'm not sure what meeting you're talking about.
Well, I don't know what it was called, LGBTQ,
Clear
whatever.
State Alliance meeting?
Yeah.
I don't believe any parents did come to any of those meetings. I don't know if they've requested to come to the meetings. I don't think any parents have been told not to come to them.
Well, that was the process before, and at that meeting you said after this there will be no more closed meetings. That night when I was here, that's what you told me.
I told you I'm not following.
Where the public is not allowed to go to one of them meetings.
So if a group rents a room, you're saying that should be open to anyone to come in and sit in on that room?
Why not?
Anyone or just parents?
Well, just parents, if you can't have, I mean, this is a public school, correct?
I think if a parent would have to get a hold of that, whoever the organization is, what the group is, and say, can I come to the meeting? I don't think that's happened. I don't think anyone's requested it. I know I'm not, that's really up to the people that are renting the room who attends it. I mean, it's not always necessarily open to anyone to come in. And
Well, that wasn't the discussion we had when I was here in February.
And I'd admit to a little confusion on that. I mean, we've been trying to figure out, just how that works. But the QSA is a good example. They have a meeting. We're not going to allow just the general public to walk into that meeting. When I say we're not going to, I think that meeting group has the right to say, it's not just.
They get to decide who comes to the meeting.
Right.
Yes.
But I think you're now talking more specifically parents. You just said everybody, but you meant parents.
Parents.
Okay.
I'm not aware of any parent that's requested to go to the Queer Straight Alliance meeting. I don't know if they've asked the group. I only know one person
So
that
if
came.
the parent wants to, they can walk in there at any
They
time,
need to get a hold of the people holding the meeting.
and they can walk in at any time.
Let's define parent. Are you talking about a parent of a kid who's attending the meeting?
Yes.
Or just any parent?
Just any parent of a child that's going to this school.
Okay.
To the school.
Oh, not just of somebody who happens to be in that meeting room.
I think the public has a right to know what is going on in them rooms, don't they? Doesn't the parents? Don't you want more parental involvement than less? You know, after I was here and spoke in that February meeting, I was overwhelmed by the outreach that I got. I was blown away by it. Parents are feeling like some of these things are an indoctrination, not an education. You know, and as I talk to some of these people, I mean, they're scared of what's happening. You know, they hear their governor say a child at 7 years old is capable of making a decision as to what sex they think they want to be. I mean, that's insane in my book. You know, as a 7-year-old, can you go buy a quart of whiskey? Can you buy a pack of cigarettes? Can you buy a pistol? Can you drive a car? You know, this is the thing that parents that contacted me are scared to death of. Are these policies being taught at the school?
No.
Because if they are, you know, the people I talk to represent at least, or that talk to me, represent at least 50 students. And I'd say probably closer to 60. That they say they will not send their children to a school like this, that teaches that has that on their curriculum.
The kid that's a after-school meeting, and kids have a choice to go to it.
They need to have their parents involved.
Their parents.
Their parents.
So if a parent has a kid that's going to that meeting, it's up to that parent to deal with their child and whoever's running the meeting if they're not comfortable with it. I don't have a problem with that. But what you're saying is, if an unrelated parent has an issue with it and their kid's not even in there, should they have a right to go in there? And I don't think they should. Or if Toby wants to go in and see what's going on that group, I don't think that's not his prerogative. It should just be the kids that are in attendance.
So what does public mean to you? What does public mean? This is a public school, correct?
It is, and people should be able to use it, sign it out for their use. And I went through the last meeting, I went through what we go through as far as regulations, but it doesn't mean that anyone should just be able to walk in because they disagree with the group and go in and cause problems with those kids.
So you don't feel anybody should have any right to hear what's going on, things at the school?
I think what's happening with those kids and the adults in that room is between the kids and the adults. And if a parent is questioning that, I mean, that's the parents for those kids. I don't think someone that disagrees with the whole concept should be able to go in there, and we're talking about kids.
I know we're talking about kids, and that's why I'm worried about indoctrination, not education.
We're talking about 3 or 4 kids that have chosen to start this group.
Mm-hmm.
This is not something that people are out advertising and pulling kids in and forcing kids to go. That is kids' right and their parents' right to decide if they go to those meetings. But I don't think we have a public right to go in and harass the people that are doing that.
I didn't say anything about
I think we need to have a little
harassing.
more
We have a
tolerance
right
for
to
people.
know. We have a right to know.
There's a Queer Straight Alliance that meets periodically in the building. They make announcements to the kids if they want to attend. It happens after school. It's out, no one is hiding it. No one is hiding it. But I don't think we want to have just anyone off the street walk in there because they disagree with it and subject those kids to that type of treatment. I don't think that's right.
Well,
If you have parents that are contacting you, have them call me. You know, I'm your neighbor.
Yeah,
You haven't come over and say, hey, what's going on? You haven't reached out to me. No one's come to my office and talked to me.
Well, I will definitely reach out to you, Jeff.
Well, sit
Mr.
down.
Nelson, I'm sorry, we're neighbors.
Well, see, this is a very disruptive, I don't know. This tears communities apart. This tears churches apart.
And it will tear this community apart. But you're telling me that you're not.
As long as
gonna-
everyone stays on their side of their feelings. What we need to do is start having a little bit of tolerance. Okay, there's nothing terrible going on in those meetings. It's a support group for those kids that are already feeling ostracized by the community. And now you want to go in there because you disagree with it And there's just, these are high school, these are young kids that are reaching out for help.
Well,
And they're supported by adults in this community that you and I know that aren't doing something nasty or terrible, and they're not indoctrinating them. They're
Well,
trying
that's
to
what
get
I wanna know,
support.
because
They're
they're-
trying to get, these kids need support.
because the feeling of a lot of the parents that have contacted me, it feels like an indoctrination, not a education.
Then they need to come and ask questions.
Yes, they do.
And
But
understand what it's
a
for.
lot of them are scared to come and ask questions. They are. They don't want their kids shoved off to the side. You know, and I mean, I have no children in school, but I know that, you know, I love this community, I've lived here all my life, and I want to see this school flourish. I want to see the public school flourish. But we got to do it in a way that is morally and everybody is taken care of right, you know?
Yep, and we have
And,
to also.
and, you know, is the curriculum for the school printed? What the curriculum will be?
Yes, and if you want to dig through all the curriculum, we're going to get it posted on the website. There we have our textbooks.
All right, good.
Not trying to hide anything here, Dennis. Really
No.
not. I'm trying to have an environment here where all of our kids, irregardless of their faith, their personal belief, their sexual identity, have a safe place to be. And I think it's better to have it happen here, where we can guarantee that.
Right,
You
but
know,
I
it's
just
not
don't want
like
to
we're
see
just
I don't want to
closing
see
the door,
this,
putting
I
the
don't want to see
shades.
this head down a slippery slope where we're doing indoctrination, not just education and support.
Yeah, you've used the word indoctrination several times, and it's a really aggressive word in terms of that the school hasn't stepped in and created this. The school has responded to it, and like Jeff said, it was asked for, can we enter a safe space in that school and use that? Not, the school didn't say, we're going to create this space and we're going to create this group. This was all brought to us as a board, brought to us as a school district, and we've responded that way. The same way we would respond, I think, to anybody else, but it's not part of the curriculum. It's not part of an indoctrination. You know, and
Well, I pray it's not, I hope it's not. Kids have a hard enough time in this world today without, you know, I mean, when you hear our governor say things like that, I mean, how long does it take to get down where we are here?
And I will agree, schools are in a tough spot.
You know, and
Because, I mean, we have our public that we have to keep
right,
in mind.
I mean,
And we're
children,
neighbors, we have the same values and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more in common than in different.
right,
You know, I think the only thing that you and I would disagree is, I think we need to have a safe spot for all of our kids in the building.
right.
And when they're with trusted adults, and it's in a public school, I think we can do that. I don't think it's an indoctrination.
Okay, but I don't want to see us head down a slippery slope into that. You know, does the board agree or not?
yes, and I think you and I, just like Jeff said, are very similar, but I also think that I'll give you the appreciation, say you're offering a check. You're not offering you want to come in here and change things. You're coming in here and just sort of testing the water and saying what's going to happen in the school in the next 2 decades. We're responding to things that the public wants. The public has the right to have, and we're going to, unfortunately, going to continue to do that. But beyond this specific, I mean, you could talk about it in terms of the Boy Scouts again. I mean, I'm trying to think of other, you know, I mean, we're always going to offer these places, and the school in this community is so different than the urban schools I grew up in. It is a campus that's removed from the community and is a safe spot, and there is a haven here. It's been created, and I think it will continue to do that. I mean, I think if you're looking for me to get into the moral discussion about, you know, a 7-year-old having the right to get a sex change or whatever, that's a totally different concept than what we're offering in this room right now.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Thanks, Joe. Okay. Anything else on that?
The only thing that I remember from the meeting is that the open meeting that Jeff addressed was, this is an open meeting.
Yes.
Yes.
The school board is an open meeting, not every meeting within the school building. Is that am I correct in that?
Yeah, and I still think that that's, I mean, we've all read that policy. It's difficult, it's lengthy, it's legalese, but it's difficult to say, you can be in here, you can't be in here, you can be in here. And I think that that's where your argument,
It
and
comes
I
down to
think,
equal access, and all groups should be able to meet without just anyone popping in and causing problems, whether that's their intent or not. And I think if there's a parent that's concerned about their student, call me. I can get them connected with who's running it, and anyone can come and visit with me. And I think that group would be open. I mean, that's part of what they want to do is try to get rid of some of that stigma. And I don't know, we have to have tolerance in this community and with our students, and I think it's important that we offer that here in a safe environment. I don't know.
is that there's always that chain of command kind of a mentality, but is that something I look at Dennis and say, if you have a parent that you know is in my district, for instance, do I offer myself up to, I'm more than happy to take a phone call from a parent who wants to talk to a board member as opposed to throwing it all the way through your office, but I'm certainly going to direct them towards a Jeff Burcham or somebody else who's involved in it too, who is in that room and can offer up maybe what they're discussing in there, or at least how that gets accessed if you're a parent, or how that relationship works.
Well, from my perspective, what I prefer is if people have questions, I would like them to come to me with it first.
I think
Not
you know a little bit better of what's going on, maybe in a.
Yes, and if I don't know, I will find out. My concern is, if I don't handle it the way if Dennis came and talked to me and said, here are my concerns, and I said, this is our policy, and if he doesn't like my response, he can pick up the phone, call any board member at any time, he can come to a meeting. It just helps me to have people come to me first, so if I know they're coming to the board meeting, I can have information ready for the meeting.
I don't know, I've been away from school for so long, but, could you, what you just said here, put that out in the paper or an ad or something, if you have questions about these meetings. There's people got all kinds of questions out there, but they don't know where to go, Jeff.
Okay.
They really don't know where to go and where to express their feelings.
I will do that.
And I think you guys could do yourselves a lot of good if you put yourself out more in the public with what's going on. Because there's a lot of conceptions out there that you guys are not representing the needs of a lot of what the people feel in this community.
Okay.
I think it would be a great help.
I will put something together and see if it helps.
All right.
Yeah. And I think we all have to recognize that we're also just trying to navigate this as board members, so we are maybe doing the best that we know how to do or feel we can do, so there's that as well.
Well, and the only comment I would have is that I've been on the school board for 8 years, and I don't think I've ever had a call from a constituent. And it's, I had a friend that I was in her wedding 50 years ago, and she found me through the school because she looked on the website and I was listed as a board member. And so sometimes people are apathetic. They just don't address things. And so there's both sides to the story, so.
Fran can't say she hasn't had a call from a board member.
Well, and, I think it depends on, in the city of Vedette, there's not even anyone who's willing to run. People don't step up and file. I think that that's an example of the other side of it. So I think the interest is good. I think everyone's concerns are well-founded. I certainly don't agree with someone having concern about the school.
But in Dennis's defense, the apathy is still not, and I know there's an apathy out there, but it's probably something that we live with very comfortably, as opposed to, pick an urban school district where there's always somebody, so that pot's always being stirred. The school board people stick their nose out into that community. I think that there's a responsibility we have to somehow engage, because there are people who feel like they're overwhelmed by how the school board thing works. It's pretty dry here. If you tune into a meeting, you know, we rubber stamp stuff, we're done with our meeting, and somebody goes, wow, what just happened, you know? So, I mean, somewhere in there, I think we have a responsibility to report back or engage those people in our community and just say, hey, you got any thoughts on this? Or,
Who do you engage if no one's ever called you or,
well, I know.
Well, it's,
You know who your neighbors are in your district too. I mean, I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
all our responsibility, but,
But outreach will help.
yep.
okay, thank you.
Okay, I think we'll move on.
Okay,
Okay. Board committees.
school forest is one.
Forest,
I was there on the 20th, but I wasn't, you guys did one on the 17th when I was
yeah,
gone. so.
we, I guess.
Building
We're gonna,
structure.
yep. Got plans for Adirondack Shelter out at the pond. We've got some donations, Whitetails is one of them, that we'll recognize tonight, to purchase some skis that have universal bindings. That'll be available for the students to use. And,
I think it was sixth graders planting trees. Fifth
Yep.
graders, sixth graders.
tree planting, all kinds of good stuff.
Did
And you
mention
actually-
the skis?
I,
Ski grant?
yes, Whitetails?
Yes.
The exciting one I saw in your minutes was that you decided you might move that trail 50 yards in.
Oh, yeah,
That's a big deal in terms of,
yes.
The groomer's still sitting out on that end.
Right.
that's quite a concept. I like it.
I think it would be easier to, rather than fight snow every year, to just move it, so.
Thank you.
So, get some quotes on that and see what we can do. Maybe pull a few strings for some free equipment again. But, yeah, some good
And
progress.
for those of you who don't cross-country ski, that trail that goes down George Swanwick's property line, that it's bordered by 4 popples and a pine tree, I
Yeah.
think, but it ends up getting drifted in. Just, it might as well be a snow fence over there, but it's 4 feet deep, and you can get a ranger on track stuck there when you can't get it stuck anywhere between here and Garden Island on the lake, so
Yeah,
it's ugly out there.
And I proved it after the last snowfall.
yep. Thank you for donating your time and equipment, Joe.
Yeah.
Scary.
And, okay, and then we had policy committee. And
Yep.
we talked about,
And we did not get it on the agenda. We'll put it on the May agenda. But there was policy 417 on chemical use and abuse. That has some extensive red line changes, and then we'll put that in the board packet for next month.
basically all legislative.
Lots of legislative changes. And then there's another one that I'm going to send out. I'm not sure if we'll meet on it or not, but 516.5. And that's falls under the student medication. And there's new legislation with overdose medication, primarily Narcan. So it's over the counter now, but there's schools that need to have it on hand, but we're regulated a little bit more than the general public. So that policy will cover that. And the biggest thing is getting staff trained on using it appropriately. So I think that's all we have for
And working through the committee list.
committee stuff. Yeah, we're
So
cleaning
that's kind
that
of a
up.
work in progress, just to refine that
Yep.
for next January. But what else? I don't know. Other committees that met? Nothing? Okay. On to the superintendent.
Okay.
Nelson report.
So I'm going to start with the HITA bid, and that's on the new agenda, item 7K, approval of awarding the health insurance bid to the Northwest Service Co-op. And I also have in your pile the write-up on that. Tough year in insurance this year. Our bids came in not very well. Northwest Service Co-op came in at 19.57% increase. PEEP was 21%. Blue Cross Blue Shield actually came in 11.9% overall. But when we did side-to-side comparisons, and our concern is with the second year, that there's no cap on premium hikes. So we're concerned that the second year might be a significant increase in premiums. I did meet with representatives from all the unions and Mike from North Risk Partners just right at the end of the day today, and we went over the different options, and the consensus of the group was to stay with the Northwest Risk Co-op as far as risk management. So that will be officially awarded on Monday, the May 1st, and then we'll be looking at going through, because some plans it was hit harder than others, so we're going to try to look at some alternatives and see how we can lessen the blow to staff as much as possible across the board. So that's a late addition to the board packet. It's an action item for tonight. As it now stands, our contracts for all the unions provides 5% increase on premium, so that's the only budget impact for the district, unless something else is negotiated differently. So basically, you're just giving me approval to award that bid, but the cost currently, the cost hike is going to be transferred to employees minus the 5%. So there's
You said
not
about what was it, 20%?
19.5,
So
19
they'll
and a
have like
half.
a 15%.
Yep. So, any questions? Excuse me. Any questions on that? Enrollment, we're at a total of 428. No change in the elementary, and I think we're up 2 in the high school. Also in your board minutes, or your board packet, career and college readiness, I have a write-up in that. We've had a couple discussions, and I'm looking for direction from the board as far as what your next steps you would like me to do. And I gave 3 options in the write-up if you have other ideas, but you can, if you feel we need to add a position at this time, you can direct me to look at that and how we would fit that in our budget, even though we just reduced 2 people, 2 full-time employees. But if that's the will of the board, we can look at that. Another option would be to convene a temporary ad hoc committee. And this could involve a couple board members, student reps, teachers, administration, to look at what we're offering for career and college readiness. So do we have some gaps? If they are, what do we need to add, and what's the best way to add that, whether it's reassigning duties, whatever. And then the third one would be, you feel comfortable where we're at right now, we need to just move forward this next year, and maybe after FY24 look at the position down the road. So that's where I'm at with it. So now you have to tell me where you want me to go with it. So
I have one question about your recommendations. So is this officially in anyone's job description, or is it like under other duties as assigned?
I think it's, lots of it's in the high school principal's job description. I haven't looked at that for a while. If it's not in there, it's under other duties as assigned.
Well, and that was what I was curious, if it was formally listed. You know, that might be something that we should do, you know, or decide or whatever. Because I think that's who's done it, basically, you know, and they can, of course, have assistance from other staff, but.
Yeah. And I think she does oversee it. She's doing lots of things, but she utilizes her staff. She has Diane Lane doing certain things. She'll have Sam do something with the website, and you know, so it's not just one person doing all of it, but she kind of oversees it and communicates with the parents and meets with the students, and I think she's been doing a good job. So
I think before we talk about hiring or that sort of thing, we really should figure out where we're at and where we want to go, if we have goals that we're not meeting maybe, or just set some goals. So I would be in favor of maybe more focused discussion outside of a, you know, like a board meeting, but like a committee level.
I agree.
Just, I don't think we have the funding right now to even entertain the idea of hiring.
well, like I said, we just in March just cut two people, full-time employees, and there's lots of things up in the air. I think we'll get some increases in revenue, but there's lots of red tape and strings attached to a lot of the stuff going down that they're proposing. Nothing's been settled yet. So it's really hard to tell. They might give us 5% and 5%. And like that last report I sent with all the other stuff that they like to throw in there, we were actually going backwards even with 5% and 5%. So really until we get through May and see what they do down at the Capitol, it's really hard to look at positions and adding things when we don't know where we're going to flush out as far as are we going to have more revenue than expenses coming from the state. So if you want to convene a committee, who wants to serve on it, and I will get with Mary and see how she wants, who do we want on the committee, and
Well, I would think before the committee, and you guys may have already done this, I mean, there was discussion about you're going to, I don't know, itemize everything that we're already doing.
Mary did that last.
Mary
year.
did that.
that was in the last
that was
board
in the last
packet.
one.
And there's a few things that we talked about. We do MIS, what's the MCIS?
Yes.
Thank you. So that was, I don't know if that was on there.
I did not have that
So-
on there.
And
Maybe
that's
you've updated that.
something that's done in careers. I haven't done it for so many years, I don't remember what's on it, but it's like a survey, if I remember right.
It's
a
an
whole
inventory.
inventory
So
thing.
when we do our World's Best Workforce Plan, and when we have the career planning in there, and really part of achieving our graduation rate, that's all encompassed in there. And so since what I had in the last meeting that I submitted to the board, I've just started a running list of things as it comes up so that I can add to it and update you as you want to be updated to everything going on. Because so much of what we do, it just happens. Like Mr. Lane had someone from Alley Tech here, and then we extend their time so that they're available, like in the ITV room to meet with students. So we've started to document it.
Well, I think maybe an update on that list, whenever you have changes, to update it and just provide that as an attachment to your report, as long as you're doing it anyway.
Yep.
Then that way since it's an issue, and if we're gonna have a committee for it, then that way we know where we're at now and where we're moving to.
And I think one of the things that was mentioned is we do have volunteers that come in right now, and what if someday they don't want to volunteer? What's our transition plan for that? And maybe understanding that a little bit better would be good.
Well, it sounds like having a committee put together, regardless of where we are financially, is
Yeah.
going to be worthwhile, but probably that committee's not going to respond to anything till, like you said, budget concerns get addressed, here in by the 1st of July or something. So,
Okay.
I mean, does that make sense to sort of procrastinate it for that length of time? And then come up with that plan for a committee to maybe make a recommendation for either a hire or a new situation or whatever they plan on doing.
So what I'm hearing you say is that Mary will continue her list, and she'll bring it back in at the June meeting, June meeting, and then you can take a look at that, and then we'll set up ad hoc committee.
Yes.
The only concern I would have, if we want any student participation, it might be hard to get kids to come in during the summer.
I've got one we could force.
Okay.
Same.
Yeah, it just seems like trying to make a decision based on April, May, June situation is just, it's gonna change anyway by July or something.
So I will return to this topic at the June board meeting.
Yep.
And we'll go from there.
Okay. Sounds good.
And if we have participation of students, then we can firm that up maybe.
Well, I think participation of students would go a long ways in showing that they really are interested in the process. I mean, that's part of it. I mean, wasn't it said where we'd have college representatives come to the school and not a single student shows up? That doesn't look good for us either. So the students have to kind of step up too, if that's something they want.
I believe we do sign up now before they come, or I'm not even sure what
Well,
the,
like if we know they're gonna be in the building, like today, for example, we don't require them to sign up because they're gonna be here. If it would be somebody who is coming just to see students, yes, we'd ask them to sign up ahead of time, so it's worth their trip up here.
okay. Also in my write-up, I put in some updates on the legislature. We have 5 weeks left. They're supposed to adjourn on May 21st. There's some things that look favorable for a small rural school. The $5.5 billion invested in public education is historical, but again, it can also be historical on all the strings that they put with it. So the after effect of all of the legislative stuff is yet to be seen. But it's encouraging that they're looking at investing in public education. I put in there the different options for the Senate and the House, what they're putting on the formula. I also put some challenges in there. And this isn't all of them. These are the ones that caught my eye. Summer unemployment insurance, just under 50,000, about 48,000 estimated cost for our district. And the catcher with this one is, right now we can levy for unemployment, but the summer unemployment, they would not allow us to levy for that. So that'd come right out of the general fund. So it's coming out of classrooms to pay people to not work in the summer.
Jeff, could I ask a question about this? I'm assuming the school is someone who gets directly billed for unemployment if someone draws? Is that correct?
Yes, that is right.
Yeah. Thank you.
So the other one is terms and conditions. There's things that I feel that have historically been managerial rights of the district, and that would include class size, student staff ratios, and student testing, and all of that is up in the air right now. There's a push that would require districts to negotiate those things, and that makes it very hard to manage a district when you have kids coming and going, and if you have a class cap, 15 kindergartners, and you have 2 kids moving into the district, what do you do? To stay within the contract, you'd have to hire another person, I don't know. So that would be very messy, and I don't support that at all. There's paid family medical leave, that's about $15,000 estimated cost for the district. Earned safe sick, that's another $23,000. There's a number of potential new courses. Government was one of them, and I'm not saying that's good or bad, but when they put in requirements, it impacts what we currently already provide. And there's a list of classes that they potentially could have required for graduation. There's new regulations on restrictions on suspensions and detentions. For example, it would not allow me to take a student who's misbehaving out at recess and bring him in not to participate in recess because he or she is causing problems. It would not allow me to do that. So this really takes a lot of tools out of a principal's toolbox as far as discipline and working with families. Not something I support. And then there's some language in there that's blocking some of the licensure with the new tiered system that's was put in place because we have a teacher shortage. Now they're putting restrictions that are going to counter that effort. And then there's more world best workforce planning reporting requirements that are in there too. And I knew you would enjoy that one, Mary. So my message when I went down and met with our legislators, and I will be drafting some letters, is I support a 5%, and indexing it on the cost of living. 50% cross-subsidy for special education would help our district, and I would eliminate all unfunded mandates. If they're not going to pay for it, they shouldn't be mandating it. And I think we need to maintain local control over our negotiations, contract language, and curriculum. So that's my message to the legislatures, and we'll see how far it goes. But I will, I can send that out if you want to send it off to the governor and put your name on it. You can do that too, so.
Are you composing this individually? Are you composing this as a group of superintendents with similar?
I'm stealing and plagiarizing things that get sent to me from different organizations. I think they let us do that. And then I'll put some local stuff in there, and if you guys think there's things I should add. I think with any kind of communication, if we can keep it down to one page, make it very distinct, the better it is. So,
Well, I appreciate that you're stepping forward. I just didn't know if it was something you would get a Kelly or Northholm, for instance, to sign off on. I mean, the interests that we all have got to be pretty similar.
there's, MSBA will send out an alert, and they'll send to all the superintendents, here's a draft, and you fill in the blanks, and you put your information in there, and then you send that off. They do that all the time.
I'm sure as with most things decreed from St. Paul, that it's probably geared towards big city and big city schools, and
Well, talking to the legislators down there, most of our legislators are on the right side of the aisle. And they're in the minority, so it's not, they understand where we're at for the most part. I don't know, I don't always agree with them either. But they don't seem to have a lot of clout right now.
Does MREA help at all in that?
Oh, MREA, we have a lobbyist down there that's pushing a lot. Yeah, a lot of the information that I share with you comes from MREA. But, so.
I would think they would have more of a rural focus than.
Well, our message from
larger
outstate
schools.
Minnesota is we're not, you can't consider us the same as St. Paul and Minneapolis, you know.
What is MREA stand for?
Minnesota Rural
Minnesota
Education.
rural, I'm sorry.
You know, so more local control is always, every year I've gone down there, it's always been, give us local control. But we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting. So.
Yeah, if you do a letter, I would send it out as well, so.
Okay, I will share it and do what you want with it, and if you think it's embarrassing, let me know and I'll rewrite it.
Get more attention if it's embarrassing. I'm willing to sign on that. I mean, I think that's what's important, is we're all on this together, I mean, because of the rural nature of the school district. And the fact we're in the middle of nowhere and we decided to raise our
People need
kids
to
up.
hear from their constituents, even if we don't.
Yeah.
We can do our best.
There we go. So that's on my to-do list for this week. Couple kudos. We had our elementary showcase, and I just want to give kudos to all the teachers and students. That was always fun when we have parents come in and grandparents, and the kids loved it. And if you have not experienced the 5th grade wax museum, I highly recommend you make a special trip out here. I saw a couple of you were here.
Yeah, that was
so
good stuff.
They put a lot of time in, and it's really fun. And
Can you name names? Because when I say name names, but I know Jenny Kraus was involved with the White Elephant that we gave a shout out to at a board meeting a couple months ago. And this thing is a Jenny Kraus kind of, I know she's in it with other teachers as well, but
Andrina
Adriana
and
Islander,
yeah.
I mean, it was just a great event. The kids even liked it. You know, I didn't get the sense that they were feeling tortured by sitting there and doing,
They enjoy it.
Eleanor Roosevelt.
Yeah. No, it was fun. And also a quick shout out to my 6th grade students and teachers. Saturday was Earth Day, and they went out several times last week, and were out there picking up garbage and blowing tires and stuff like that. So kudos to them for doing that. And if there's other classes that went out and I missed them, I apologize. Also in my notes here, I have my schedule for this week. I have our board meetings, committee meetings listed. Baccalaureate has been postponed. I don't have a new date for that. There was something else. Maybe you'll catch it on your calendar, something else. Okay. I think that's all I have unless there's questions.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. Good. Next up, we have high school principal, Mary Merchant.
Good evening. I'm going to piggyback on what Jeff said about our fifth grade because I also that evening, and I forgot to put on my board report, just had a parent meeting with fifth grade parents, and it was a very good turnout, and had a Q&A in the choir room with them, and just gave them an overview of how we see the format of it going for their students as sixth graders on the other side of the building, and then we took a walk down to the other end, and very, very few questions, and really nothing negative. So it was wonderful to have a face-to-face meeting with some of the new parents I will have. I always like it when it can be face-to-face, and I thought it was just a very positive evening, and more things that parents saw how this is really going to be a benefit to their child being able, number one, to have a teacher specialized in those areas. So I think that's a good step in going forward with it. Last week, 5 staff attended the MIEA conference, and I was one to go along with them, and it was really a wonderful professional development experience for them. We had 1 elementary teacher, 2 high school teachers, and then Mrs. Crandall from the Media Center, and we have money in our budget, so if they found books or other items that they wanted to purchase for the school, they were able to do that. Mr. Pearson and Mr. Longseth, one of the vendors that they met with, we're looking at purchasing several indigenous games to use, and Mr. Pearson's going to incorporate those into summer school because that's the theme that they chose for this year for summer school, so that all worked out perfectly. And then Thursday, the entire day is spent in breakout sessions, so the 5 of us purposely chose not to go to the same session so we could get a wider variety of things. The snow up here put a damper on how many, 3 of the teachers could attend because they hadn't back yet on Thursday, but they just came back with a wealth of information, and like I said, it was very good professional development for them, and good to have that time together in another setting with them. I am very excited to say the high school has been acknowledged and received an award from my Principals Association. It's called it's Star of Innovation, not START like on the board report. And what that is it's sponsored by Horace Mann, and every year they give it out. Schools have to apply for it, and it's to recognize basically something that's innovative in your school and really has a positive impact and advocacy for children. And what I submitted was the work that's being done in our video production with Bears Buzz. And so we received a bronze award. There's bronze, silver, and gold, so next year we'll have to work harder to work for the gold. But the school gets $50, which I will give to the video production class to work to enhance their programming. And then senior graduation picture is this Friday, and prom is Saturday. MCA testing is in full progress, and Diane has been amazing with the kids who aren't here for testing to get them in immediately to do the makeup test, so it's all flowing amazingly smoothly. And then the first 2 weeks in May, which is next week already, we have our band concert and choir concert. And then on May 10th and May 16th, Dan Ninham is coming into the school. He'll spend 2 full days here. One day will be with elementary, and the other day will be with high school. So when he's with the elementary, he'll be with Mr. Skorbeck, and he's doing some indigenous games with the Phi-Ed classes throughout the day. And then the same will go when he's here for the high school. And on the 17th is the NHS induction ceremony and our scholarships. And then senior trip is the 18th, 19th. And that pretty much covers it. Oh, the other thing Jeff wanted me to touch on was about the green bandana and where we are with that. We had a Zoom meeting on April 17th, and I was present at that along with Jeff Bertram and Gretchen Maymel, and okay, I don't remember her name, but she's from Stellar, so she's like the director of the Green Bandana program. And then Amy Ballard was there, and a And so they really gave an overview of the expectations and the trainings, and I appreciate Amy's input by saying we are too far into the school year to really try and do justice to getting this going before the end of the year. So the focus will be is to get staff members chosen and get training for them. So then when we start the school year, we may be able to start with looking at seniors to be trained to move forward with the program then in the fall. And I believe it's our suicide prevention group that is funding this. And so when we talk about green bandana and funding, the bandanas, they use our trademark. So you really have to follow what the guidelines of the program are and those stipulations. So it's not like anybody can just go buy a green bandana and say, I'm part of this. It's very regimented with what you need to follow and even how you word things so that we're careful to realize I am not a qualified counselor, but I am a support for you and I can help lead you to the resources you need. And that is all I have, unless you have any questions.
No?
Thanks.
Thank you.
I have one thing.
You.
I forgot. Can I? I forgot to mention Bears in the Bog, and this is for K through 6. May 16th and May 18th. So shout out to Bobby Jo Castle for
Definitely.
all her work to set that up. And we'll have a list of all the local DNR and water and soil people that are involved with that. That's quite an event that we do for our kids there at the Big Bog. So I didn't want to forget that.
Thanks, Chuck. Okay. Next up is Business Office with Sheena Brandt.
Start off with our revenues. Our state revenue is at 70% received for the year. We are projected to have $160,062 more revenue than last year. Our local revenues are $201,847,000 higher than last year. Our federal revenues are at 42% received for the year. Our quarter 3 draws for our grants were completed last week. For our ESSER Finance 160, of our 100, we were awarded $100,000, and we have, trying to see how we should have written this right. Basically, we have $33,356 remaining to spend. Finance 161, which is used for before and after school care and summer school. We received $113,799, and we have $97,914 left remaining. So I was able to draw $11,546 last week. We're using this money to pay for our spring coaches, and as well as the officials, game workers, supervisors for any of the after-school activities. We'll also use it to cover transportation costs and expenses. So our quarter 4 draw should be significant with this grant. And then we are able to use these funds for 2024, quarter 1, and we have to complete our draws by November. Hopefully we can get as much as that money spent as possible. If it's not, the state will reissue it in 2024 again. So for Finance 171, pandemic enrollment loss, we were awarded $25,946.58. We have spent the full grant. Last week I drew $16,990. COVID testing supplies grant, Finance 170. We spent $20,000 and we were awarded $20,000. We did apply for additional funds. I did log into our Department of Ed's SERV site, and It's showing we have $0 expended. It almost looked like we are getting more funds, but I haven't received an award letter yet. So we'll wait and see on that one. USDA Supply Chain Assistance funds, we received $21,559, and we have received everything, so that is closed for the year. Our $6,000 grant from Farm to School Big Bite, I just completed our Q1 draw, and we received $1,000. And that money goes into next year, and we draw quarterly also. For our expenditures, our salaries and wages are at 71% expended for the year, which is $255,675 higher than last year. Employee benefits are 68% expended, $83,587 higher than last year. Purchase services are at 78% expended, which is $289,966 lower than last year. Part of that has to do with our billing from BRIC for special ed services. Supplies are 103% expended for the year, and supplies and equipment are close to 100% expended for the year. Overall, with all expenses and revenues factored in, we are sitting at a deficit of $206,503, and our final adopted budget was a deficit of $92,868 at the end of the school year. Our student activity fund balance reports are attached. All transfers were completed. I did get a call last week from AAA just verifying where the funds were supposed to go for the different sports. And they just asked me a few questions on that. Mr. Nelson did go over our health insurance options. We did receive a quote from Dental for our renewal effective July 1st, and our dental insurance rates went up 13%. After reviewing it, the rates are very low compared to like health insurance. The premium for a single person per month is around $30. So factoring in a 13% increase is fairly small. And when you go to the dentist, Delta Dental coverage is fully covered. So if you go in for a cleaning, they cover it 100% and then x-rays. So we feel that the increase in premium is well paid for. And then maybe next year, if the rates are high again, we can get another quote, but we feel comfortable with these rates this year, and it was expected, we were forewarned that they would be increasing. So our open enrollment will begin in May and run through June, effective July 1st. I also have an update on our auditors. So Bailey notified us that they will not be completing our audit for the 2023 school year. I did put together a proposal, which was approved last month, and I sent it to 5 auditing firms and only received a quote from one of them on Friday. The quote was from Bergen KDV. They are located in St. Cloud. Brady Martz located in Thief River and Grand Forks initially said that they were going to submit a bid, and then they called back and said that they wouldn't be just because of their load. They said they would be considering, if we were looking for an auditor next year, they would consider it again, but at this point they would not submit a bid. I also sent a request to MMKR, CLA Connect, Schenner and Wenner, and Smith Schaefer, and I have not heard back from 3 of them, and 2 indicated they also would not submit a bid. They're all fairly far away, primarily located in Rochester, Minneapolis, I think Brady Martz is the closest in Thief River. So after looking at the bid and discussing our options, we would like to wait another couple weeks and just see if we can get another bid. Bergen KDV indicated the audit would be 100% remote. And we've had auditors on site in the past. It's worked out well. It seems like they're all changing to be remote.
Definitely.
Yeah, but from my perspective, I
Your
really.
bids reflect that.
What was that?
No, there's just less travel expense.
No. In our bid that we received from Bergen KDB was pretty much matched Ide Bailey. It was very, very pretty much close. We did get an extra bill from Ide Bailey last year for just additional hours. So that's not the issue. We just really would like another bid. And I am definitely, I prefer having them on site. I do understand having children or young families, it's easier, but I feel like you really hash out everything very fast when you're able to just pull something and give it to them rather than pulling out the staples, scanning and emailing it and going through the upload and that. It's just takes a long time. So, and then when the audit does occur, I'm on site for those 3 days anyways, just because I keep everything on file here for the most part. So.
What's the reluctance of all these people to want to do our audit? Is it geography, or is it just they have a hard time getting people who
That's what
can do it?
I was told. I think geography does play a factor in it, why they don't want to come here. But I think that's kind of how after COVID, that's the way everything's kind of going. Is everything's remote, or like even Ide Bailey, it's like over a 4-hour drive for them. I know. So when I did talk with Sarah Niemela with Brady Martz, she goes, most of our auditors are young and have young children, and it's just much easier for them to not have to come and spend the night. So.
How close are we, just out of curiosity, to, like you were talking about, scanning and uploading and everything? How close are we to where it's just a matter of uploading it? Like I know for the county work and stuff like that, I mean, it's kind of similar where you'd have to scan stuff. Now I'm actually at the point with a bunch of it, it's just, okay, yeah, send it, and because it's already digitized.
I do feel it's going to be easier this year because I have it all. Last year, I didn't have anything, but for me this year, I have everything saved and I know where everything is because I did it. So I think that will kind of help. We did talk about what auditing firm that is used in town. I did look up 2 more that I found. Hill Larson, and then what was the other one we talked about? Hoffman, Phillip, and Martel. So I think I'll do some more research and just see if they audit schools. I'm not sure, but they weren't on my list that I had received from school management services. A few of us just got together and put a list together of auditors that we had worked with. So I'll leave it up to the board, but I would like to just try get some more information on it.
We can make a decision at the next meeting.
Yeah, and I don't know
Anything.
if you know of any other auditors or have worked with any other auditors. That would be great information. I'd appreciate.
I know I would be fine going along with your recommendation, but when you only have the one bid, everyone else is iffy. As long as we don't wait too long and lose the one bid too.
That's what I said. I'm like, what do you do?
Nobody will.
I don't know.
I think they'll let me do the audit? Probably not.
I certainly don't want to, but that's actually
Audit
not
yourself.
allowed anyways. So, yeah.
And it's an issue, not just here.
It's everywhere.
It's
They don't
everywhere. We run
have
into
people
it
to
too
work.
with- yeah, so.
I mean, I think we would gladly take an off-site one if it's a fair price and the only thing available, obviously, but,
Right.
I mean, to me, that it's, that we feel that we're happy with who we choose, no matter what the format is, so.
And also, so they did put in a bid for 4 years. We do have the option of accepting just the first year too, and seeking bids again next year, so.
So we'll see what happens in the next 2 weeks.
Anything else?
Do you have any questions?
All right. Next, Activities Director and Community Ed, Samantha Lyon.
Yeah, I'll try and move through this. So activities update, as you can imagine, spring schedules are all over the place, as you've probably experienced with some of your own children. I was joking with Corinne earlier that I think after last spring, I kind of expected, like, I felt entitled to a normal spring, and I just, it was really naive of me. Anyway, students, coaches, parents are all being very patient. Nothing we can really do about it, including playing through snowbanks. The baseball team was out on their field today. It was relatively dry. There were still snowbanks, and they were hitting grounders through snow, so I give them credit for being creative. Spring registration, a couple highlights I think that I brought up. We have for junior high baseball, we have 22 boys out for 7th and 8th grade alone. That does not include 6th grade, so huge numbers in the baseball program. And that does not include varsity either. For track, we have 35 students, 6 through 12, boys and girls out. That is also a number that's up. We're excited about that. So good numbers showing up. The question that I'm trying to figure out is, does the fact that it's free impact some of that? And so I'm trying to ask coaches and teachers, and Mary and I have talked about this, to try and pay attention to if some of those students who are coming out are there because they don't have to pay for it. I think that's an important thing for me to note in terms of, okay, we would have higher participation if kids didn't have to pay for it. So I'm paying attention to that and am thinking of some solutions that might be ways of offering some financial assistance to students, whether that's AAA holds a slush fund that I get to dip into if I know of students who need money. The free and reduced lunch has offered some students that opportunity as well, but if that's not going to be in existence, or we don't know what the replacement of that is, that application is, we will have to think of a different solution. So I'm kind of just paying attention to that at the current moment. It's encouraging, I think, that we have more students out, and what's that pattern that's happening. Junior high coaching hires, we've hired Sam Longseth as a junior high golf coach, and we've added Jennifer Otto as a junior high track coach. We have really high numbers out in our junior high track program, and so for the sake of supervision and just general student management, we've needed that. And I've found places in my budget to kind of make sure that that's taken care of, so we're okay on that front. I'm going to skip down to the community ed update, and we'll do the scoreboard thing last. Community ed update, we did host the lifeguarding course over the course of the last 2 weekends. We had 5 people take part, which I'm excited about. Lisa Beckstrand in particular was working real hard to get people to sign up for that, and we ended up getting 4 students and 1 adult. So really excited that we've got people registered for that, and I think the upping of the pay rate definitely made a difference. So appreciate you guys jumping into that. In terms of spring activities, the highlight is we've got track club going on right now from kindergarten through 5th grade, and Jenny Skoog is running that. She's seeing some crossover between cross country and track, and she's currently got 45 students out. I know, those eyes. That's what she looks like every time they show up on a Wednesday afternoon.
Would be like herding cats.
Yes, it is. And the weather has not been super cooperative, so she's been having to be creative in the multi-purpose gym and walking track. But exciting numbers there. We're finding trends that if we are committed to holding those elementary programs after school, as in like dedicating gym space, potentially moving varsity and junior high practices later so that we can have them, we have much greater turnouts than if we were running that like on a Saturday morning, which is when it's been run in the past. So again, another trend that I'm trying to pay attention to in terms of how do we increase those numbers and keep those kids coming out. There'll be an elementary, Jill will be running an elementary volleyball program this spring. We're jumping into summer stuff also. So we'll do the traditional summer ball, t-ball, rookie ball, traveling softball and baseball up through probably 12U-ish. Did get notice that Prairie Fire Theater is going to cancel all of their programming over the course of the state. I mean, so they're not going anywhere. They canceled on this last year. That just came through today. Their rationale being that they just don't have the staff to manage that programming. I hope that doesn't mean they die as an organization forever, but I am a little concerned that they're not going to be able to come back from that. So I, along with some other theater connections, Joyce Washburn, Joyce Palm, am starting to think about other theater connections we might have to put on something like that, or do we start thinking about how do we get kids over to a Warroad Summer Theater situation? I think trying to make sure we can offer those arts opportunities is incredibly important. It's not all about sports. So something I'm working on, might not come to fruition this year, but definitely on my radar in terms of how we balance those offerings. Okay, scoreboard replacement. I am putting together, this is on your agenda tonight for action. I'm hoping you have, I think for sure this document, it's an outline of pricing from IIM Electronics. It will be a Daktronics, yes, you're holding it up. It will be a Daktronics scoreboard. It will then match what we have at the football field. This is what it'll look like. What we have at the football field and what's in the arena in terms of user function. And I know that seems maybe a little simple, but trying to get people to get trained on a clock so that they feel comfortable to run it during a varsity game. You have the same console across your facility or across your sports. It's a big deal. So this quote includes what you see on that picture. It includes just the scoreboard version of that as well. So we'll be replacing both scoreboards in the big gym, as well as then 2 shot clocks that go up above the varsity, the main baskets in that gym, and that is a mandated addition from the Minnesota State High School League for the 23-24 basketball season. So part of this, putting this in front of you now, is to say we have to do the shot clocks for next year. You'll see that cost is $4,774. And those clocks that are in there need replacing. Seth can attest to the fact that we can't find bulbs to replace the lights that are in there. They are as old as the building, and they're tried and true. They turn on almost every time we try. I'm joking. They are still working and functional, but my concern is that we show up one day and during basketball season and they just don't work.
We can't replace them as they go all anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the one, you'll watch during a basketball game and you'll think, oh, there's only 5 minutes left. And then 4 minutes later, there's still, it was a 9 and it's not 5, It happens almost every time.
Yeah.
For me.
And our refs who or referee here know which board to look at to make sure they get the right time. So this is definitely a high buck thing. It's going to be high buck. I did get another quote from BSN, was slightly cheaper, but that also did not include installation and training. So I went with this. This is just a replacement for the big gym. The thought being, let's spread out our capital expenditures over a couple years, and then we'll replace the small gym next year, year after that, depending on what our capital expenditures need to be. The shot clock is a mandated change for next year. So even if I'll take your questions in a minute. Even if you don't approve this, we will have to spend the money on those shot clocks regardless. And we can integrate them with the old clock, but I'm a little nervous about that, so. Any questions about that?
So I see in your notes that it's already budgeted in the capital outlay for
Yes, yep,
23,
we sat down, and this was a really effective meeting, I thought, as a crew, an admin, to kind of go through capital expenditures over the course of, I would say, the next 3 to 5 years in terms of what we needed, and this kind of rose to the top in terms of something that needed to happen. As well as then the kind of compromise of, okay, we won't do both gyms at the same time. We'll push out the other 2 gyms. And the small gym will not be the same expense. I would say it'll be 15 to 20, because your clocks are smaller. We're not getting the stat panels. It's a simpler gym. So, any questions on any of that?
We don't have to put shot clocks in that other gym?
We will eventually, but we're not running any state high school sanctioned varsity matches in that small gym, so it's not immediately necessary for next year.
And I see the prices are valid until 4/24/23. Is there a time on that?
Yeah, right now. He did say that there might be a slight increase, but it's gonna be incremental. It's not, under, I would say, a couple $100.
So it's budgeted with a contingency then?
Yeah, probably. That's a thing you can do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
great.
like you'd set in the budget, you'd set it at 40.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Sure. This is a little bit of a new process to me. This is the first big ticket item I've put forward, so I feel excited about it.
Right now, moving on this is a pretty opportune time. State of Minnesota is really starting to push for energy reduction, and they're starting to put out a lot of incentives and rebates. And this would fall under that, going from incandescent to LED. It's fortuitous timing too.
So you think you could submit for a rebate? Cool. Do you have it? Airlift? It says customer needs to provide an airlift. Do you have a lift?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So when we get to that point, I'll talk to them, and they won't need to bring one out, so they'll be able to have to take that out of there. We only allow certain ones inside the gym because of the weight that the floor can hold.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Any questions on anything else?
So when you have a football and a basketball and a hockey game going on, what is the Zamboni guy going to hear the score of on the?
So what he's alluding to is that, and I know how to fix this, I just haven't done it, but all of the scoreboards are on the same channel. So if you're in the arena and there's a football game going on, you get live score updates because it's sending to both the football and the arena scoreboard. Nice. So it's a little fluky thing, you just have to set the radio channel, but, so we'll make sure that's done intentionally. Although, it was a funny note when I was in the arena, this was before I was working here, I was like, what is going on with this? Because it was not on, there was nobody in the building. And sure enough, I walk outside and the football game's going on, I thought, wow, I got live score updates, this is great. And if that's it, then I'm done with my report too.
Thank you, Sam.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we have buildings and grounds. Seth, please.
I think everybody's got a packet in front of them. These are some of the projects that are coming up that need to get done this summer. One is new to me that I just found out recently. Through the state of Minnesota, the fire marshal, you have to have what's called a 5-year internal inspection on all your sprinkler systems if you have a wet system as we have. It's different than our annual. Our annual, they will take and they will dump our mains. It breaks the pressure, and that shows that the alarms will go off. Doesn't show that the sprinkler heads will work. That's what this 5 year is for. I'm not sure when the last one is done. I haven't found any information on that in any of my files. So that's something I got scheduled to happen this summer. And you have a quote in there from Dakota Fire Protection who comes in and does their system now. And then there's an explanation as to what the internal inspection is and why it is. It opens up a main branch and a small branch, like just to run of these sprinkler heads, to see if there's, over the years, if it's corroded, if there's corrosion in the system, if there is, you know, if anything does get corroded, any particles, will they plug any of the sprinkler heads in case of a fire? That's why that's so important. So that's scheduled on the docket.
So is that scheduled in this calendar, this school year or next school year?
I can push it off to whatever
Well,
needs. It just
we just need to know for Sheena if it's which budget it's included in.
Yep. Just let me know, I'll make it happen one or either side of July 1st, what we need. Any other questions on that? And the next is our annual interstate. This is for the generator. They come in and do the service on it. The only thing that's different is it's been a while since we've had a flush and fill on the coolant system. There's
Which one is that?
That would be Interstate Power Systems.
Let's see that, you guys got that?
No.
No. Stapled with something else.
You guys have what you want. We do have an annual contract with them. They come and service the generator yearly. We're just adding in the coolant flush and fill. It's been quite a few years since that's happened. We do have a few leaks in it, so we're gonna get those fixed also. That's one of the pieces of equipment that you do not want to fail in a critical time. So that is slated for this summer. I'll have to get her on. You guys, any questions on that?
You'll work with Sheena on the timing on that one too.
On all of these.
I guess that's a question and I got a nod, so.
Yeah, so that one's a little more time critical because these guys cover such a expanded area with such a small crew. It kind of depends on their schedule too.
Is that something you could coordinate with the county and hospital or
That's
whoever
actually what
else
we're working on.
generators? Yeah, okay.
Yep, that all came in. I think the county has, I think that's what they're working on, trying to get those two together right now. So when they come up here, it's all done at one shot and we can split the travel costs.
Yep.
So it's not so ridiculous. Then we can move on to the next one. While Lynn's looking at that. Peterson flooring surfacing, I believe, the gym flooring code. This is a yearly thing. We got a quote for that. This is to apply polyurethane on a wood floor when we just redid the gym floor 3 years ago. This will be the third year. They recommend having at least 3 coats of polyurethane on top of that wood first. So we're looking at having Peterson do it this year. He's the one who resurfaced the floor, done it the last 2 years. After this year, we might be going back to the water-based, which is what we can do in-house. That's a lot easier to do. So once we get through this year, then we'll take a look at that for next year on until we need the resurface again. And that again, we're looking at, you know, timing with sports. Summer school activities, working with Sam, Sheena, whenever we can schedule that one in there is the best. And then we can move on to Team Lab. Team Lab does our yearly maintenance, our turf programs. The top page, I think if this is right, shows the gold fertilizer program, premier maintenance and broadleaf spraying. So what that covers right now is weed spraying throughout the whole school area, and then fertilizing the football field. What I want to do, if you go to the second page, I know it's a bigger cost, But I want to include the baseball field and softball field also, which has been neglected for many, many years, and is starting to show it. And I would like to get on top of that and start getting nutrients in it and start taking care of it before it becomes a huge expense to bring it back, or we could potentially lose it to weeds. So I think that is gonna be an action for the board to decide which way they wanna go on that. I'm not sure if we have it on here or not, but we'll figure it
What's your
out.
timeline for this?
What's that?
They need to do it tonight, you need to put it on the May agenda.
We still have a couple months of winter yet, so it's
No, I don't say that.
Is there any local fertilizing companies? We work with Team Lab, they provide some chemicals that we put down on our roads and stuff like that. So
They do. Team Lab is very largely based.
company.
I have worked with, well, there's a few chemical places when I was at the golf course that are around. Team Lab has seemed to beat them in just about everything in their service, their cost, kind of stuff. That's why I kind of seem to stay with them. But I have checked that out. I'm trying to think of, can't remember what the other one, there's two programs that we had out at the golf course. And then the last one, is we need to start looking at another lawnmower, a smaller one like that. Last year, we finished out the season without ours, without the front deck mower. This Springdale dug into it a little bit, and the four-wheel drive is completely out of it. The bearing went, took out that side of the case completely. We're able to get it sealed up to do the year, finish this spring in two-wheel drive, but we got very, very lucky with the snowfall we had. We would have had a heavier snowfall, we wouldn't have been able to use the snow blower. So we got through it, knock on wood, but this is something that we're gonna have to look at. That is our primary machine used out on the grounds also during the summer. And four-wheel drive is needed for going along the ditch areas and stuff. The tractor we have is too heavy to go to do those side hills and ditches and stuff. So this is something that we're gonna have to look at sooner than later, and that's why I figured we'd bring it out. This is one, the picture you have in front of us was sent to me from Midwest Machinery. It's a machine that came in that they went through, got traded in. And I doubt they have this one anymore because they're moving so fast. But this is kind of what we're looking at for a price for a used one around there, just to give everybody an idea what we're gonna be looking at. And if we don't have one, I hate to say it, we're gonna really struggle hard. This is also, we use it during the winter with the snow blower. This one comes, we can get them with the brush attachment. And so, any questions on that?
So you're looking at a used one?
Preferably. You know, it depends on how it wants to, how we want to approach it. You know, we should look at a new one, have it stretched out over years. You know, look at a payment plan, a lease option, or just get it outright, used one. Look at a used one, have it outright, have it done paid for. There's a few different options that we can look at. All depends on which way we're directed to go.
Any idea how many hours are on your other tractor, the one that went out? 'Cause I mean, well, like you said, this one's gone, but you're just referencing.
Between the two John Deere's, there's 8,000 hours. There's about 4,500 on one and 3,500 in change.
Because this one was 2,100.
Yeah.
The older machine that we have, like this one, is what year,
I
mid-nineties?
think they're both in mid-90s, somewhere in there.
Yeah. So the equipment we've had, thanks to Dale, I mean, kept them going.
Now, this is like a 35 horsepower engine, so now is 2000, when did they start taking DEF? Because if you can avoid DEF, you're gonna wanna do that.
Yep, that's all
That's why
stuff
we
that
kept them.
That's, I don't know if it does or not, that's something we'll have to look into when we get into that one. Start looking at those specs on these motors. Do they need, can they get around them? Are they new enough? When did they switch?
Yeah.
But I think the newer ones, they don't have it, there's just a few years that do. And they're running into issues with them.
I don't know, I guess I'd be like either lease or look at new over some of these, so.
Well, see, no, that's the option we can look at, because not only we can spread it out over the lease, now you're looking at also you have a warranty
Yes,
on parts.
and that's the exact,
Mhm.
Well, and I think you should at least look at the local
Yeah.
person.
That's the one they are working for me. It's kind of funny because Midwest Machine, the day after I got this one, the John Deere dealership sent me the exact same thing. So we are working with them too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So just, I guess, knowing what the budget is would be helpful on this.
and what the new, I mean, I don't know what the new price would be, probably twice.
I
But
can get that tomorrow.
but I mean, you know, like this, if it needs def versus not, that would, I mean, I don't know much about that, but Boyd probably does.
you gotta get into the 25 horsepower and below to, well, you have to get the 25 horsepower and below to not run into def.
But, and then you could sell can you sell the old one? What's the value of that? I mean, so if you have 20,000 budgeted.
Probably not
then you
much.
Sell that
It'd
one.
probably be better to hang on to it as an absolute backup.
Sure, okay.
But they're, with anything in the 1990s, you're looking at maybe $1,000, maybe $2,000. If you can find somebody to take it.
So you'd rather keep it.
Yes.
Government contracting for this kind of stuff.
Pardon me?
Government contracting.
So out of your
Yeah,
whole
probably
litany
would.
here, I mean,
I'll look
really
Absolutely.
the only thing you're asking us as a board to look at is the potential for glorifying the fertilizer application and how quickly you want us to act on a lawnmower.
Yes.
I mean, everything else is, okay, thanks for letting us know, but we're gonna pay for it. Okay.
Maybe check out Northwest Service Co-op, government
So,
contract.
I'm drawing an absolute blank at the salesman over here. We did talk about if we did buy new, he's already got the pricing through, co-op or, CPC, I think, is that
Yeah,
the one?
cooperative purchasing.
Cooperative purchasing, yeah. Yeah, or Sourcewell. Sourcewell was the other one too, and that is also government contracting.
That's with the local, so that's Chris that you're working with?
Chris, yes. Yes, thank you. Yep. Didn't need to be the bearer of bad news. Any questions, concerns?
Figure it out where it fits and pay for it.
You can leave this by July when the grass is tall like that.
Is that the projection? Late spring. Okay, and then I think we want to do transportation.
I don't know if he has anything on.
Kind of the same board as Sam, being working last year. I have less drivers than but we got about 2 for sure and 2 that are kind of on the fence about possibly getting a license through the summer to drive school bus for next fall, so cross your fingers it won't drive more slow. We want to be closer to school. I was actually just writing this down on, May 16th, we got 3 buses going to Big Lodge at my youth regular route for it, and then they got golf going to 2 different courses, they got track in Roseville and Northland, and they got baseball and water, so. If I can get that name. All right.
Can you repeat that?
Coaches with
Tony Rouse is doing it. Yeah, Jill, you're next.
Oh, come on, Jill.
We got a 2-wheel drive lawnmower you can take to the.
Okay. I think,
But I
is that,
did do mileage last year, and I tell people this, and I don't know if anybody's heard this one, but I did how much mileage we did on a paved, kind of like this, with a big block hole, and we had one less trip than this, I think. Went, drove up the school's wheels, turning up, doing all the routes, the suburb, the type trees, all the buses going trips, we drive to Mexico. In one day.
Rather be there.
Right.
Big Hog, Mexico.
You got an extra bus to do that, or?
Let's go. Spend one of them.
Okay, well, thank you. All right. So I think that concludes the working session. Call the regular meeting to order. Say the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, looking for a motion to approve the agenda that goes through letter K.
I'll make the motion.
Second by Lyon.
Motion by Johnson, second by Lyon. Any discussion?
You said goes through letter K, my board back.
You got two of them.
Yeah.
Here.
Oh, there it is, got it.
Okay.
Got it,
That's why I said that.
thank you.
Wasn't completely. Okay. Where am I? Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Board presenters, no board presenters listed. Written communication, we've got a notice of desire to negotiate from Terry Knudsen, MSEA representative.
And then I have one more that I'll hand out. It's just from MSBA. It's on some trainings coming up in May and August. So just got it today, so
All right.
I'll get that to you.
Okay. And then we've got old business, there's none listed, so I'll move on to new business. Looking for a motion to approve the March 27th, 2023 board meeting minutes.
Make the motion.
Second by Lyon.
Johnson and Lyon. Any discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we're looking for a motion to approve the invoices, financial statements, bank reconciliation, wire transfers, and purchase card statement.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Okay. Alice and Sonstigard. Any discussion? Okay. Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we're looking for a motion to approve appointments of Sam Longseth to junior high golf coach and Jen Otto, junior high track coach.
Make the motion.
Second by Lyon.
Okay, Johnson and Lyon. Any discussion? Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Sorry, that scratching is just really distracting, but.
Our sound system.
I'll just
Okay.
talk loud if I
Just
wanna say
talk
something.
Okay. All right, next, we're looking for a motion to approve the proposed 2023-2024 school year calendar.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, Allison Johnson. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we're looking for a motion to approve Resolution 2022/2023-25 to accept a $500 donation from the Northwest Minnesota Manufacturing Association for the welding program.
I'll make a motion.
Second by Lyon.
Sonstigard and Lyon. Any discussion? Just want to thank them for their donation.
That's been a good program.
Yeah.
Some effort. I give Brian Novak credit. I think he was one of the prime movers there, but
Yes.
in absentia, he did a nice job.
Any other discussion?
Call for a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we're looking for a motion to approve Resolution 2022/2023-26 to accept a $150 donation from Scott and Marcia Schmezek for the backpack program.
I'll make that motion.
Second by Lyon.
Motion by Ellis, second by Lyon. Any discussion? All right, just want to thank them for the donation. And
Not made this time.
yeah. What are you wearing, Robin? That's
She's bugs.
I don't think there's anything that exciting going on here.
all right. Call for a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we're looking for a motion to approve Resolution 2022/2023-27 to accept a $500 donation from the Ruby's Pantry for the Angel Fund in Food Services.
I'll make that motion.
One second.
Motion by Ellis, second by Sonstegard. Any discussion?
So do we have any past due accounts?
Well, so I reached out to a couple different schools in the state that also have angel funds, and they've given me some good ideas, so I was gonna maybe bring those to Jeff and see where we could go from there.
Is Angel Fund new? I mean, I know it was talked about, but is this the first?
No, I think we've had
Had it for a while?
donated and used.
But
I know we have.
I didn't remember seeing it on the activity things. Did I miss it?
I don't think we have one, so
Okay.
Okay.
I know we talked about it.
I see there's one for the backpack program, but I didn't see
Okay.
anything for an angel fund. And I wonder if we should direct
I'll
you.
look into it. I've been trying to figure out what it even is too.
Yeah. Well, and I've heard of angel fund accounts before, and a lot of times they are applied to unpaid lunch bills and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and the schools that I talked to had some really good ideas. 'Cause, I mean, clearly that amount won't cover everybody, but
Right.
just figuring out the right criteria to use, so.
Yeah.
Is that in response to us allowing them to use the structure out there? Where's the $500 come from? I mean,
They also sponsored a couple lifeguarding course.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Ruby's did?
Yep. So I think there might be a little bit of a surplus of funding there, which is great, and they're trying to find ways to.
I think it's a good program in that respect. I think it's real community-based and, you know.
Great, okay. So we've got a motion and a second. And just want to thank them for the donation. Any other discussion? Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we're looking for a motion to approve the quote for the gym scoreboard from company name AIM.
The one Sam wanted.
Okay. As presented. Motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second by Lyon.
Johnson and Lyon. Any discussion?
I look forward to seeing the news.
Want instant replays and everything too.
I'll see what I can do.
All right.
So just to clarify for the minutes, this is the motion for the whole thing. Because she presented the whole thing and she presented a shot.
Yes, right, not just
Yeah,
hot
For the
dogs,
whole
correct.
thing.
The
Okay,
other piece
okay.
is, can we do a contingency, like contingency of 5,000 or up to 40,000?
Well, I was thinking that it would be good to have a contingency built into it,
Yeah,
you know, based on that quote, and to be able to say that,
and I'm even
You
thinking
know.
like, if our lift goes down between now and then and we have to pay to rent a lift,
Yeah.
you know, so if that's a possibility, I think that might be a good safeguard.
I think that's a really good idea, and if you can just communicate that to Sheena,
Sure.
so she includes that.
Yeah, so I think in the motion that it would say something like, with a $5,000 contingency.
Yeah, or, you know,
Okay,
because
so,
I don't know, I think we used to budget a contingency based on the entire capital fund. You know, like say if you had $100,000, I'm just making up a number and say that you're gonna have a 10% contingency fund. So that would mean it would apply to the 100,000 rather than each individual item. But once you've used that contingency, you know, I don't know that that's done here, but.
Yeah, makes sense though. I mean,
Yeah.
when projects, Seth knows that, when projects happen and things come up,
yeah,
small stuff.
Yeah, well, and usually, you know, we do the bid, you know, do like a bid and then we say it might be extra and then it's always extra.
Yeah.
well, and there's electrical wiring in this as well, so we're gonna have to.
Yeah, I mean, there, you know, it's just,
So do we
So
wanna
we
have,
do carry over about 105,000
in that, yeah.
balance every year.
so to clarify that motion, it will be approve the quote with the
With the
contingency.
contingency and maybe just don't state the amount of the contingency, can you do that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Is
It'll be
anything
close
that-
to that
yeah.
number. I don't.
Yeah.
1 million.
No, but
Sam
I
is
mean,
paid
you know,
as a
you could say,
consultant.
yeah. If the, you know, if the final thing comes in, you know, cause you'll have to get an updated bid,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, so,
Okay. You comfortable with that, Boyd?
am I right?
Yes.
Friendly
Yeah,
amendment?
it won't be, or quote, or whatever you wanna call it.
All right, so I've got a motion by Johnson with a second by Lyon. We had discussion, all in favor?
One more thing, basically, we're picking a vendor. Because she had other bids,
Oh,
Yes.
yep,
you know,
okay,
but
Got it.
that it piggybacks in with our other systems.
No, not
So
an
we're
amount
picking the-
necessarily, we're picking a vendor.
Right, and I mean, we've got an amount, but the reason we picked this vendor
Is that amount?
it will
Is-
Because it matches
sync.
our
is that
system.
it matches our
Going to
other
sync.
two systems.
Yes,
Yeah.
You know, we don't want
Like
to
it's not the low
depart.
bidder, right, or? it
No,
may be,
there are cheaper ones
Yeah.
out there.
But
Right,
because it matches our system.
you know, I just
and
think
it's
that should be
below-
mentioned, that
Yeah.
it ties in with our,
that's true.
so I don't know how you want to write that one up, Jill.
I'll figure it out. Approve it next month.
Yeah,
Okay,
and I mean, I think it's okay, just so we're, you know, that we did consider in the
Yes.
selection,
Yeah, yep,
that it ties in with
And
our
then she
other.
said that the other ones didn't include installation and training.
yeah.
And I think it's below the dollar threshold. that
Oh,
you
yeah,
have to-
but it's just,
Yeah.
you know, if someone ever questions,
now,
Now, no more discussion.
call for a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Is there a dollar amount on that contingency then?
Blank check.
You don't want that.
School board.
you could say the $40,000
To
based
40,000.
on the possibility of the future. You know, we have it quote
Yeah.
for now, but, you know,
Yep.
we'll have to, you know, look at it again if it goes over 40.
All right.
I'll try to avoid anything specific.
There you go.
I can do that.
To be determined by the superintendent. All right. Next, we're looking for a motion to approve Resolution 2022/2023-28 to accept a $2,500 donation from Whitetails Unlimited for the school forest.
Make the motion.
Second by Lyon.
Okay, motion by.
And that's for skis.
Yes.
Universal binding skis. So you can walk in with those shoes and make it happen,
So
which I think is a big deal in
You
that.
want me to donate my old cross-country skis?
you can do that too.
Universal. Universal.
Put them in Seth's office.
Well, that's the downside. I mean, he's, like she says, donate the skis. The problem is you have to have not only the bindings that match the shoes, but the size of the foot that matches the shoe.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just such a difficult process.
All right. Any discussion? Just want to thank Whitetails Unlimited for that big donation. Pretty awesome.
Yes.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we're looking for a motion to approve Resolution 2022/2023-29 to accept $814.89 donation from Lake of the Woods Soil and Water Conservation District for the school forest.
Make the motion.
Second by Lyon.
Okay, motion by Johnson and a second by Lyon. Any discussion?
That's not linked into the ski thing.
No.
Just
It
the
will be
school forest.
for the Adirondack shelter to purchase
Oh.
local siding, locally sourced siding.
Which must have been the estimate, and that's why it's that exact amount.
It's actually some money that we had left over from another. Clean it up the books.
I thought it was an odd number, but.
How do we zero this out? I know.
It is an odd number. All right.
Well, it should help.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And then I think there's another one on here.
Health insurance.
Yes.
Awarding the health insurance bid to Northwest Service Cooperative.
All right. Looking for a motion to approve awarding the health insurance bid to Northwest Service Co-op.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Motion by Sanskart, second by Ellis. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Any other business? We will adjourn at 7:54.
That was an expensive meeting. Everything we did took money and just painful.